company, established in 2016, was able to source for the chemical from New Zealand and had it temporarily registered in the country last year by the Pest Control Products Board. The company imported the first batch of the pesticide in November last year at 1.6 million shillings. The company used baits such as meat sticks, which were laced with the chemical, and managed to kill over 3,000 Indian house crows. A kilogram of Pesticide landing prices has reached 800,000 Kenya shillings.
Meanwhile, we had been doing pre-baiting. In fact, where we are seated, we had been doing pre-baiting. Pre-baiting simply means you feed the crows with the food that you're going to use to poison. And in this case, it's meat. Why I settled on meat was because the crows love meat. And they don't like liver for whatever reason. But they love meat. And it has to be steak, because we can't give them meat with bones. Otherwise, they will take the bones and strew them all over the town. And the reason we could not even use, they can eat bread, rice, and such things. But the reason we don't use that is because I tried it. But I found that the remnants were eaten by these other birds. Not poisoned, but the other little birds will eat the bread and the rice. Unlike the meat. The other birds don't eat meat. But these other little birds eat. So I decided to remain with the bait as meat, because all the other birds will not come there. So it controls the birds that we are targeting. We only have the crows. When we are feeding the crows, we only have the crows, the Indian house crow mainly, coming to eat. They don't fear people. So they come and eat. You're feeding them, and they come and eat. The other birds that would eat the meat are the eagles and the hawks. But those ones, and the kites, but those ones don't like people, so they will not come and eat. The only other bird that unfortunately comes to join the crows is the indigenous crow known as the pied crow.
For now, we will continue monitoring the product, that is both in terms of efficacy and the impact for the management of the Indian house crow. And if there were some minor areas of interest, like for instance monitoring any environmental contamination, any effects on other local birds, we will keep monitoring, because this is the first time the product is being used in Kenya officially. So we also keep monitoring so that if it is going to be of benefit to this country, and if the applicant addresses a few other things that they were asked to address, then the product can be given full registration. In the event that you observe any major adverse effects to human, environment, or even to non-target organisms, then a decision can be made to withdraw or even further restrict the product.
The company also presented a proposal to the national government through the Kenya Wildlife Service and counties seeking financial support in order to expedite eradication of the Indian house crow. The company will stage 12 baiting centers in every county in the region, where in each center between 300 to 400 kilograms of stick meat will be mixed with a chemical to kill the bird. Young people will be engaged in monitoring and collecting carcasses.
One time I had a very smart dress, and whoop, that was the end of the outfit. You know, you're wearing a very expensive outfit, and once it pooped, you remember in 2000 when Moi said they should all be shot because it pooped on his suit, it pooped on him. And you know, all he could think of, so anyway, there are very many things. I can't even begin to enumerate them. You hang your clothes outside, and there they are. You hang your beautiful bed sheets, they poop on them. And they do it intentionally. It's not that they do it accidentally. They actually go and do it intentionally. There are people who have said that they have counted the crows, and everybody gives you a different number. And the number depends, the amount will depend on the number of the crows. Because like we did here, we're doing up to 300 kilos a day in one station. 300 kilos a day of meat, steak. The steak is costing, that time was costing 680 shillings. Okay, they give you a discount, 600 shillings. 300, you do the math, in one station. And if we are going to do the eradication, we'll have a minimum of 12, an average of 12 stations per county, an average. Kilifi will have, of course, at least 20 stations where you're going to do the pre-baiting, which is the baiting. So that, if you have a roosting area is where they sleep. We put a station where we feed them with the meat near there, so that in the evening, in the afternoons, they'll come and eat there. So by the time you're feeding them in all those stations, you do the math. And how much poison are we going to use? Probably 100 kilos for the whole county in the next 5 years. Yeah, so it's a lot of money.
The hotel owners also ensure the facilities are free of garbage, which are conducive areas of the Indian house crow. Matiba feared that the Indian birds could be a big challenge to food businesses and the hospitality industry in the coastal region in the future, if not tamed now.
What we observed is that the product Pesticide was quite effective in the management of Indian house crow, and on that basis the product was granted temporary registration for use. By temporary registration, it means that the local agent can allow importation of that product by a third party or by themselves, and then they can use it under restricted use to manage the Indian house crow. The difference between the Indian house crow and other pests is that the Indian house crow does not have boundaries. With other pests, a farmer would manage pests within their farm, but with the Indian house crow, given that they will fly from one place to another and they move in big populations, then they need to have the local agent sharing the information with other interested parties like the hoteliers and maybe the communities where the Indian house crow is very critical.
Pesticide is not new to Kenya. We had Pesticide in Mtwapa about 13 years ago, and it was very effective, but because it was not a registered poison, the government stopped its importation and use. But now that it's been registered, efficacy tests have been done, I hope that we'll see its expanded use to solve this problem.